Welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay, and we're here doing a little work on a 54 F100. You may have seen the intro video introducing you to Pete, the Ford pickup, and so now we're going to do a little bit of work on it. I did a walk around, which was really cool. Showed you kind of where this truck was at, and now we're going to look at hanging a brake pedal and doing a power brake booster, dual booster, and what else are we going to do? Proportioning valve, kind of all the incidentals to putting this brake system on it. It had power brakes before. They were, big Ford, kind of out of the donor vehicle when this vehicle was built, and it had kind of I'll say a crude brake pedal as well. All of it worked at some level. It wasn't necessarily positioned exactly right, and I think the current owner just felt that that could be improved, and maybe the stopping, the performance of the brakes could be improved as well, and I think he's right on. So we're gonna play with how do we do that. I'll show you some of the parts that have been acquired to put this together. So here are the parts that we're going to play with. We have a dual diaphragm booster, a new one. That will provide the brake assist. We have a brand new proportioning valve. All the stuff that we have here is all brand new, so should be pretty cool. We have a Corvette style dual master cylinder. And the really cool part about this particular master cylinder, so I've done this style of brake conversion before and it worked exceptionally well. And the cool thing about this master cylinder is it's got line fittings, potential for lines on both sides. So where that really will help us is when we get this booster mounted, we'll be able to run the brake lines to either side, whatever's convenient, because we will be blending this in with the existing brake lines. We also have a bracket for the proportioning valve, and we have a universal firewall mount for the pedal. I think all of these parts were purchased at SoCal in Vancouver. I'm not positive, but I think that's where it came from. So he's got all the pieces needed. We have miscellaneous other parts, and there's always a few trips to the parts house in between. What other detail did I want to share? I think I may have mentioned it. The cool part about having this port on the other side of the master cylinder is then you can put your brake switch into that port, and you don't have to rely on the brake fitting, doing a splice and putting it into the brake line. Either will work, but I think it's a little cleaner having it in the master cylinder, and then that's a couple fewer double flares you have to do. All good stuff. All right, inside the truck, let me show you what the inside of the truck looks like. Inside the truck, we have a pretty wide open space here. I'm going to cut that insulation back some so I can get to the firewall, and then I will put the new brake pedal up there and see what kind of issues we're going to run into. Firewalls on these trucks are more or less flat, although they do have a bunch of strengthening ribs in there, so we'll have to see kind of, does that impact what we're doing, and then how do we address the holes that are already there, because there has been some stuff already done to this truck with an old style master cylinder. As you look up inside there, you can see that there's some old access to a master cylinder, and we're going to move this one over a little bit, so some of that's not going to serve us, and we'll want to fill those holes. So we're going to try to do as tidy a job as possible to make this look like what we want it to look like, without turning this into a huge project. As you can see, it has 1980s wiring craft, and that's kind of how most of these old vehicles look. One of the future plans will be to put a new harness in it. It was what was shared with me. So down the road, he's gonna put some new wiring in it and bring it all up to date. But for right now, I mean, while it's not beautiful, it seems to be functional. It starts and runs and all that stuff, which is fantastic. So we're gonna get some brakes on it. So let me get set up a little bit here and see what we have to do on this firewall. So I cleaned the firewall insulation to get to the bare firewall. As you can see, the firewall's flat for the most part, a little distorted, but that's going to be fine. This master cylinder mount and booster mount is probably 12 to 14 inches long, so it's going to give a lot of support for the booster, so it will become integral with the firewall. Quite nice. The good thing about working on these trucks is that you have some mental reference to where things were originally. So while the floor has been modified, I know for a fact that right here where my finger is where the original clutch pedal came through. We're gonna mount this pedal on the clutch pedal side because it will allow for a little more flexibility if the gas pedal gets brought in a little bit on the right hand side of the column. So if it comes in a little bit, it'll give a little more opportunity to adjust that however the mood might strike, depending on if it gets changed. I also put in a temporary seat to give me a perspective on where the pedal's going to ride. So this pedal should sit about here when it's completely depressed. It will sit about here when it is in the ready to apply position, and then it will go down. Should be quite comfortable to allow for free movement. It has a clevis at the top to give us lots of adjusting opportunity. So I think we're going to be in really good shape. I got it mocked up through one of the existing holes that was in the firewall, and we will take a peek and see where the other holes fall and start to put it into place enough to really get a good feel for how this is going to work. And then we'll look at what we need to do to build a little bit of a patch or a block so we don't have warm or cold air coming through the firewall and things of that nature. All right, let me keep drilling and screwing things together. Inside peek at the progress. We're using original Ford fasteners and hardware, so they're all going to be grade 8, at least for this mock-up. Bolts might get changed out later, but as I said, we really are just striving to make this right and safe, and right now I'm in mock-up stage for the most part. So here we go. We've got the 2 lower bolts are really the stabilizing bolts for the bracket. The 2 up here, right here, are going to be the lower mounting points for the booster, and then we're going to blank out and sandwich a firewall between some heavy gauge sheet metal to block off that hole. As we probably won't be welding it up, but I guess that's not entirely out of the question. And we do have a little wire feed here, so we might just weld it up. We'll see how the time permits. I'm only here for a day, so I'd like to get brakes on this before I blow out of here. Okay, next step, we'll show you what it looks like on the inside. So on the inside, bracket looks pretty cool. Super sound, nothing exotic, but I think very dependable and substantial. We will drill just another hole on the inside to mark the upper booster bolt hole, and then I'll pull it off and flip it around and use it for a template to put the new hole in the firewall. Okay, I'm going to keep working. Progress to date. We've got the booster mounted. We patched a plate behind where the old booster was, and we have the pedal bracket securely mounted with grade 8 bolts. Boosters in. The next step is we're going to attack the plumbing for the proportioning valve. Proportioning valve is going to hang right off the side of the booster. We'll go inside. So if we look in here, oh, thank you. We have light. Absolutely. Excellent. So as you can see, the bracket's super sanitary. You can see the plate in behind it. Nice and secure. We'll hang the pedal back in it after we get the plumbing all done. And I think it's going to work out so well. So we're getting closer. This is a bit time consuming, so I haven't shown you all along because you guys would have fallen asleep. But so far, it's moving nicely. We're going to shoot for having brakes on it today. All right, I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, let's do an overview of the progress we've made. So the booster's in. The block-off plate is mounted. I think I may have shown you that already. We've got the booster and the master cylinder mounted. A little brake for the airplane. We have the proportioning valve mounted. We will get, David is going to get a bracket that goes here, that goes up to here. We just weren't able to locate one today while I was over here. We have a couple fittings to get. We have one for the brake light switch, but everything is wired in now and ready to go. We did all of the plumbing to run lines down to the existing brake lines that were on the truck and plumb them in with the new proportioning valve. So it looks like it's going to be a slick little conversion here. So let's look at the inside. On the inside, it looks just like you would expect. The pedal and bracket all mounted up in there. David's gonna tuck up some wires after I leave. We'll tidy up in here, but a nice sanitary kit. Looks like it's gonna give them hours and hours of pleasures. Nothing scary about it. Comes down to a nice solid pedal. He will probably move that gas pedal over a little bit, so it'll be something quite similar to what he has for the brake pedal and a little closer to the column, so that'll be nice. But other than that, I think this job is done. It looks great, and he is going to have a bunch of fun driving this truck around. It's getting close. He's going to get a seat, and then the next stop is a hamburger. So I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.